Power Moves, Real Talk. This is RPGM, Reprogram Coaching, hosted by Ricky Gitwood Jr., a bold new podcast brought to you by the Love and Victory Show with Bow Radio, LLC. Shift your mindset, reprogram your purpose. Are you ready to make your next move your best move?
My dear friend, Paulisha, welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Be here, Ricky. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Just to be able to continue to spread your message about mindset and all the things that you do. So
Thank you so
I
much.
want to just take a pause. Can we just pause and
Yeah.
just celebrate you and everything you
Oh,
doing?
thank
Like
you.
you're telling me about me. And we gotta in the community and for the community. I just want to say that you have really inspired me. Okay. My husband and I, you know our story.
Yeah.
In terms of our getting back together and our physical wellness, and all of that is tied into today's show. So
Right.
I'm excited. I'm totally excited.
Thank you so much.
I don't want to just make this about like the things that I'm doing, but
Yeah.
I'm excited to be a part of your show on today.
I'm going to say thank you. And I appreciate that. And, you know, I'm going to be honest. I don't do well with somebody acknowledging me.
Yeah.
That's something I have to work on.
Yeah.
You know, because I people like, you do something, I'm like, oh, I feel all weird, right? So,
Yeah.
But I appreciate you. Thank you so much for saying that. I'm really honored to have you as my first official guest on my show, right? So let's do this water for the mind. I want you to tell me what you think. You don't have to be in crisis to seek clarity. What is your first immediate thought when you hear that?
Well, I think that most oftentimes people seek out help when there's things going wrong.
Right.
And I'm a licensed professional counselor supervisor. And so what that means is I see people and help them with their problems all day long, their challenges. And
Right.
so when I hear from them, it is when it's like they've hit rock bottom. It is when they are in crisis, when they feel like they don't know which way to turn. So getting that clarity is important. However, you don't have to use therapy just when things go bad. We can seek out those times that we're needing that guidance, just to say, hey, look at what I'm doing wonderful. What we just exchanged here and lifting each other up.
Right.
That is continuing to use momentum to go in the direction that we're going as well. It's not like, oh, let me call Ricky because I got this problem today. And that's because what happens is problems beget problems. Right. Yeah, that's what comes to mind for me.
Honestly, yeah, for me, you know, and I love this exchange. Let me tell you why, because she's going to give y'all the I like to say the doctorial, the well pronounced and put together version. For me, it just be some simple stuff. It'd be straightforward. It's like, look, man, you see the problem.
Yeah.
Do something about it.
That's right.
Okay. Do something. Don't just sit there and marinate in your mundane mindset. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be a full-on crisis. Like, look, just start doing something. You feel it.
Yeah.
You see it. It's happening. Do something.
Yeah.
You know, start doing something. You know what I mean? So that's just my outtake on that. I just like, no, that's me. That's how I respond to everything. If I see there's a problem, I have to start doing something.
Right.
Because I've been in depressed mode before. And I know what it feels like. You know what I mean? Before I get to that place, now it's a crisis. And no, I feel it. That means I should do something.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get into it because I'm going to start telling a story. I already know it. All right. So this is our pre-game stretch, right? This is, I asked her, did she want to give me the answer? She gives us these riddles.
Okay.
And we have to figure out what the actual answer is, right? And I was like, can you just feed me the answer? Just give it to me so I can know in the back of my head. She's like, no, that's the whole point of it. So you can do it. So I'm gonna read it.
Okay.
All right. And I want you to tell me what you think. All right, what the answer is. All right. What weighs nothing but can hold you back more than any physical chain? What weighs nothing but can hold you back more than any physical chain? And if y'all out there in the chat, y'all in the group, take that. It's up. Look, it's right there already. So if you know the answer, please drop it in the chat. I have a few things that came to mind. So I'm reading one more time. What weighs nothing but can hold you back more than any physical chain?
I think your thought process.
Okay.
Like how you see things, right? Can hold you back. definitely can keep you stuck where you are. So like we were just talking about, problems beget problems.
Yeah.
Like if you are comfortable in just mulling in that problem and not moving forward, then that'll keep you stuck. And if you're hanging around people who like to do the same things, then definitely you're gonna stay that way.
Yep. And I'm gonna go with, if my first thought would have to be just stress.
Yeah.
Right. Just stress, because if you sit and think about all of your stress, it does weigh you down and you don't move.
That's right.
So it's just, I'm gonna say stress. You know what I'm saying? Are we gonna get the answer right now?
I could give it to you. You guys are like spot on, like your surface level. Like I don't know.
I'm talking about it. So I'm talking about it. Yeah. I kind of feel it.
That's it.
What is it?
Your mindset.
See?
I'm talking about it. See, this is why
Yeah.
No, you got to think. See, I'm gonna say this too. Like, I know for a fact I'm a thinker.
Yeah.
And I know she's a thinker on another level thinking. So the two thinkers is like, yeah, that's it. That's the answer right there. Yeah. So come with something harder next time. I'm ready for it. Let's do that one. All right. So let's get into some of the questions I would want to personally ask you. I have some questions here, but I want to ask you some personal questions first, right? So most people, I think they know now that we start off as just training.
Yeah.
You just want to lose some weight, you want to get in shape, right?
Yes.
But your dear sister, my awesome friend, you know what I mean? That even that connection was weird because when she messaged me, I put a post out on Facebook talking about people who lift weights but don't do leg days.
Yeah.
Right. And then she hit me up. She was like, I want to get my legs straight, right? And I was like, okay, bet, let's start talking. So we started talking from there. And then a couple months later, that's when we got introduced, right?
Yeah.
I always think that there's no coincidence, obviously. And I fully believe it's divine appointment, right? So what was the one thing that made you want to work with me?
Yeah. So I've been on this wellness journey for many years. Okay. When I say many years, like over 20 years, right? So you start the workouts, the different nutritional plans, and they sort of fall off and all that stuff. And this past year I made my 50th birthday. So I was like, what do I want my next 50 years to look like?
Right.
And for me, what stood out to me, Ricky, really was transformation. I wanted to transform into something and do something that surpassed what I had been doing all of these many years.
Right.
And so, when me and my sister were like, neck and neck with, like that. And so we've been talking about like, okay, well, this is how we want to look when we get a certain age. We can't be the old aunties, with our knees cracking and stuff like that. When she told me about you, I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this again. Because as I said, I've had trainers in the past and wasn't really seeing the results.
Right.
So, that's how we connected. And when I tell you, since then, it's just been like we trucking it. We're doing it. And I can truly say it's not just been a physical transformation. This right here has been physical, mental, and it's really taken me to the next level. Like, I just competed in my first show.
Don't give too much. Right? No. Don't need to know how to do
I can keep going now.
Right. No, but I want to say that I'm honored, and people think I just say it because it sounds good, but because what I do, I'm really honored when people want to work with me. Number one, I really love what I do. Right. I love seeing people transform. I love seeing the mindset change, which is why I've got to really mindset coaching. And when it comes down to just fixing our body, and I have this thing where, like, especially with Black people, you know what I'm saying? We get over the age of 40, people start letting themselves go. And I'm like, yo, why are you letting yourself go? You don't have to. And I made this joke with one of my classmates. I said, you realize that most of our the people that we looked at when they were in their 40s, most of y'all look like them. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And I just refuse to be that person. So people right now don't even know how old I am. You know what I mean? I'll be like, good. I'm glad you don't. And I know for a fact nobody will ever look at you and think that you did what? Like, you did what? So I'm honored when somebody actually wants to work with me and like really take it. So, and then I always say, look, I don't mind you texting, calling me every day, all day. That's fine.
Look, don't I really do though.
I know
Like
you
when
do.
I got a question,
Right, you
like
got a
what
question.
is this going on? What's happening?
You know, and I take that as number one. I fully appreciate that because that means you respect my opinion, right? And I'm not going to feed you no bullshit for the most part. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, just go run around, you'll be okay. No, and it also sharpens me as well.
Yeah,
it makes me be better. I can't just say anything.
Yeah,
because if I say anything, then you looking at me like, Ricky, why would you tell me some dumb stuff? You get it from somebody else. You know what I mean? So like, I'm honored. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's go into this good stuff, right? All right. You made an amazing transformation.
Yeah.
And prior to this particular show, I didn't even, again, not only did I not know what you've done in your career, but I didn't even see none of your previous pictures.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I did some digging.
Okay. Okay.
I went to the website. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
You made an amazing transformation.
Yeah.
So what was your highest weight? And then how did you feel at that weight?
Oh, so my highest weight had to be in 2023. And I got up to like 182 pounds, which for my height is way above. I'm 5'4". So you, like you said, my picture is out there. My husband and I, you just don't realize, like, as you're living life and doing what you consider a normal routine, how that stuff starts to impact you as you get older. And so 180 pounds.
Wow.
And then when we connected, it's like putting in the hard work. Got down to 150, 150?
Yeah, it's like 152, something like that.
Like that. Yeah. And I'm still working.
Right. So let's ask this question, like, because I know when I was overweight, and I always tell people that I understand what it's like to be obese.
Yeah.
I know the mindset. I know the feeling.
Yeah.
So when people be like, I'm happy and fat, I'm like, no, you're not.
No.
So what was your mindset that made you have to have that shift when you were overweight?
So for me, it's always about the physical, because I'm a go person. Right. And so one of the things that I credit to my mom, she's always said, like, you're going to have stages where your weight fluctuates, because as women, we deal with hormonal issues. You get older, there's some things going on. And so I was just set to say, like, okay, whatever, however big I get or small, I know how to rock it and hold it well. But physically, I wasn't feeling well. I developed high blood pressure, right? It's like being winded for stuff that I used to could do like easily, Ricky. And I'm not that person. Like, I like to dance and move and travel and stuff. And you can't do that if I can barely get out of the bed just because my joints ache, just doing minimal things. So I was like, no, something's got to change. 50 beyond, I refuse to be in my 60s where I see people already wheeling and having all types of surgeries and stuff. No.
So what was the first like mindset shift that you like consciously made? Like, what was the mental thought? It's like, okay, I have to do this first to start making these different changes. What was the first mindset?
The first mindset was that I needed to connect with somebody who knew more than I did in terms of me getting healthy. And so once I made that change, that's when everything started lining up. Right. Because with, like I said, with my sister, we talk all the time. It's like, okay, we're going to start, let's do these squats together. And, that might be short lived. But when she connected with you and she was like, okay, now remember, I got somebody that can really, really help you. I made up my mind then, okay, I can't stay this way, because it doesn't feel good. And for me, as a provider, I'm always one that does not just shoot from the hip. So if I'm telling you something, then it's because it's an experience that I've lived. And that's why mental health is so very important to me. So it's all connected.
Oh, I love it. Well, I just love how you answer your questions. So this is awesome. This is actually a perfect pivot, because I did not say the topic early in the beginning. So therapy in the Black community is the topic for today. It's a perfect pivot, right? So talking about therapy in the Black community, right? And you talk about mental health, and I want you to personally give me your accolades, the things that you've accomplished and where you are. But what do you think? Where do you think now mental health is in the Black community? Is it accepted? Is it still rejected? Or is it still kind of that gray area? What do you think right now?
I think in our community that we've made great strides. Like, there are more people that seek out therapy. But I think that there's still a balance. We can still do more to make each other aware about the benefits of talking to somebody outside of family, outside of friends. And I think one of the things that holds us back, if we're talking about mindset, is this notion of trust. In our community, we don't have a lot of trust amongst people, outside people. Like I know I grew up with, you don't let anybody know what's happening really in your household. Right. That's nobody's business. And so what happens is we just start to continue to hide and put those things away. Right. And that passes over to generation. And it's all these secrets. Right. And then we're wondering, like, why aren't we close as a family anymore? Well, because I didn't deal with whatever happened, that long ago. So I think that there's been great strides. But if I'm going to speak on statistics, so 25% of African American people seek out therapy, but that's very, very small in contrast to our Caucasian counterparts. 40% are seeking out therapy. That's a huge difference, Ricky. So for me, it's like, okay, we making great strides, but not as much as what we could do in terms of feeling our very, very best. It's all interrelated.
Here's a very controversial question. If you want to answer it, great. I know you will. Because I'm gonna throw it out there. Because this is something that I had to personally deal with when I started getting into therapy and psychology and different things like that. I was raised in the church. Right. We already know how that goes. You got to pray everything away.
That's right.
Jesus gonna make a way.
That's
right. God gonna heal you. Resist the devil, he gonna flee. All these church antics. I'm just like, okay. It's not working. You know what I mean? There are actual, tangible, physical things that are happening that's not being healed.
That's right. That's right.
And I can't just pray it away. And so you praying, things busting out my head. I'm screaming, I'm crying and speaking in tongues, hasha, ba, 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 and da, and ain't nothing happening, right? What do you tell the person as a radical believer that they need actual therapy? How do you help them get to that point?
Yeah, to me, it's, and I have clients that way, right? Because I am a Christian therapist as well. So I have people of all different faiths that come and they're confused about what the process is. What is therapy? Somebody you telling all your business to and them just giving you an answer, but they really don't know, they can't relate to what it is that you're actually experiencing. Well, I believe that if as believers, if God is putting a special gift, we're all gifted with different things. And if he's put this gift, the ability for me to help you and be a listening ear, to give you some guidance, that clarity, then that's the divine connection. That we talk about angels being all around. It doesn't mean that you are stepping outside of what it is that he is, that you're praying and hoping and believing for. However, you can still get an objective opinion. And then you take that and say, okay, God, is this lining up with what it is that you're trying to tell me? But the thing is, you have to be in alignment with all of that. So who is your God? We can go there too.
You know, I like going there. That's my jam right there. So I want you to do me a favor, like real quick. Simplify what you just said. Because I know a lot of, especially I deal with even as a coach, I deal with a lot of Christians and radical people who just want to pray and trying not, and I don't like to use the word convert. I like to say expose, enlighten, give you an opportunity to see a different pathway to the exact same thing that you're saying. Right. So for the person who may hear you, but still didn't hear nothing that you said just now, like how do you simplify that for them? You know what I mean?
So to me, therapy is a process. So if you're looking to get the help, okay, there are licensed people outside of your friends, your mom, your dad, that are available to you, that can help you. And it doesn't have to be where you're spilling your guts. Okay. Therapy is a process, and you don't have to just rip the Band-Aid off. Sometimes trainers can do that, Ricky. Like, okay, it ain't no gray or middle area. We're going to get in here and we're about to
burpees.
But when you're talking about therapy, it is a process. So don't think about it as therapy, like in terms of people have this connotation of therapy means I'm something wrong with me. I'm crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we have this stigma around what mental health is, that also keeps us stuck because there's a certain mindset. If you're talking to a friend that has a problem, they experiencing depression, what are you telling that friend?
You know what?
Yeah. I hear you. I understand.
Right.
That's what therapy is.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question too. And I just love it because it's helping me also make it make sense for somebody else and being able to convey the message over a whole lot better, right?
Yeah.
So the person who is like, okay, I hear you, right? I want to do therapy. Okay. I don't have the money for it, right? I hear that a lot. People's like, I don't have money to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Like, cause it costs, whether, they have insurance or not. But they think that it's a long-term financial investment, right? And this is why I start to cringe.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, do you realize if you don't fix your mind and body, the detriment of your life is going to happen sooner than later.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So for the person who is like, okay, I hear you, I'm interested, but I don't want to invest the money into it.
Yeah.
Like, how do you even speak to that person who is like, I don't want to do it at all because I ain't paying no money. I don't want to invest into it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about it too, Ricky, is that everybody gets it or hears the message when it's their time to hear the message.
Oh, pause. Hold on. Don't go faster. Say that one more time. Yeah,
everybody will get and hear the message and receive it when it's their time to do that. Right. You can, and as therapists, that's something that we're trained from day one. So a lot of times we get burned out because you want it so bad for that client, your patient, to see and get the aha moment, and you're helping them, but they're still not getting it. Well, do you just drop them? No, you don't. You continue to sow the seed. That's our job. Sow the seed. I'm not going to beat you over the head and say, because here's the thing, you'll pay for what you value. And so if you're not valuing your mindset, then you're saying right now, okay, God, well, I got it all together. And he's going to say, well, you tied my hands.
Go ahead then. Yeah.
That's right.
Go ahead. You got it.
That's right.
You have everything you need. And this is where, and we're going to also talk about this briefly, is understanding the difference between a life coach, a mentor, a therapist, and a psychologist. Like, what's the difference? How do they actually apply, their principles to your life? Because I'm gonna use myself as a life coach. I tell people all the time, I'm not a licensed therapist. I understand. I'm just straightforward. I don't have no regulations. I can say I can say what I want to say.
That's right.
Because most of my therapy is more stoic, like straightforward. The answer is right in your face. Get it done mindset. And you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I personally believe that a person needs therapy when they have like trauma that they haven't dealt with, right? I think they need a life coach when they just need a different perspective and somebody to give them a guide to what the hell they're not doing. You know what I mean? Is that along those same lines? Or
I mean, so with therapy, it's the difference is the clinical training background, right? So we're trained to assess, diagnose, and see things that a life coach would not be able to. Now, a life coach might be able to say this person is sad or depressed, but you couldn't diagnose them with depression. They'd have to come to a therapist or a psychologist. Now, a psychologist does more of the formalized assessment. So they'll do a full evaluation, whereas a licensed counselor like myself is not licensed to do those actual evaluations that psychologist does. Right. So there's the distinct difference. And listen, it doesn't matter if you go to the psychologist, the licensed professional counselor, the life coach, the mentor, which we haven't talked about the distinct difference. But if somebody is pouring into you for the better, why not invest in yourself? Because you're not investing in me. That's the thing. It's I almost got something in terms of the church and going with the tithes, but I'm not going to go there. No, I'm not going to. Okay. But if you're investing in yourself, so there are many resources that are of no cost for people who aren't able to afford it on the long term. There are so many different resources that you can take advantage of. So we can't keep using that as an excuse.
You know what? Do you have access to those resources?
I do.
Are they on your website?
I can send them to you. Yeah.
Cool. That's something that we want to do as well. Make sure you guys go follow her, and that we'll follow up later and be like, look, all those available free resources will be on her page. And we'll collaborate somehow and make that thing work.
That's right.
But there's no excuses. That's the whole point of this. There's absolutely no excuses as well.
And if they're, in terms of a takeaway, if you're looking for that, 211 is a great resource. You can just call 211 and say, hey, I'm needing some counseling, my family, and they're going to point you in the right direction.
I had no idea about 211.
Oh yeah.
I knew about 911 and 411. So 211 is, say it again.
Yeah. So 211 is basically like, you just think about that like your online directory. You can call them and they will get you what it is that you're looking for as well. Yeah.
I bet you a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah. 211's been around for a long time.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I'm mad that I never heard about that.
Yeah.
So I got a personal, are we okay on time? Because I just keep going. Are we good? Okay, cool. So I have a personal theory when it comes down to somebody getting to any type of therapy, right? So I have family members who have mental issues, right? We can talk about that in another episode. I personally believe this: before you go see a psychiatrist and you get that pill, okay, I think that you need to go through the steps of, okay, look, maybe see a life coach or maybe see a therapist first. And once it's out of their league, then okay, now I'll take you to a psychologist. And if it's out of their league, now you need to go see a psychiatrist. I personally experienced when somebody say I'm depressed, they go straight to a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that, I personally don't believe that that's correct. You know what I'm saying? But I want to know, like, from a professional, is that correct? Like, is that, I can't even say morally correct, but is that the proper, I don't think it's a proper steps for somebody getting healed. You know what I'm saying? Somebody say I'm depressed, they go to the hospital and they like immediately give them to a psychiatrist or immediately give them the medicine right off the bat without actually figuring out what their depression is. Because in my personal opinion, I believe that some people say they're depressed and it's just a messed up situation. It's situational. You just handle the situation. You're not clinically depressed. You have a depressing situation.
Well, what I'll say to clarify that is there is a such thing as situational depression. Okay. And there is a notion of you. So depression is on a spectrum. So you have to go to somebody that is clinically trained to be able to get those symptoms, what you're experiencing. And if they have been in duration, like for a long length of time, then that's when we can start diagnosing you. Now, I'm not going to, I believe that as therapists, we have an ethical responsibility. We're not to like push medication because there's no magic pill that's going to cure anything.
Pause. There's no magic pill that's going to cure anything. I put a statement out a while back that said there's a pill for everything except common sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, there's no magic pill. So what we typically tell our clients are if you're taking medication for depression and seeing a therapist at the same time, then you learn how to hear better. Things are more clearer for you. Now, if somebody's been conditioned, maybe they've heard it from somebody else, maybe they've gotten not so good advice and their straight away is to go to that psychiatrist. Well, hopefully that psychiatrist is still educating them on and trying to route them to speaking with a therapist. But again, you can't make anybody go to therapy. Like you can't make anybody seek out a psychiatrist. So you always got to think about where they are in their mindset.
I know. That's one of those weird caveat things I have a problem with. Right. And to be honest, I may be ignorant in the logistical and the medical part of mental health, and I'm okay with that part. And I tell people I talk like I know, but it's something that I'm okay with and I don't know, right? But there's I was reading something where you can actually call and have somebody committed. There's a number you can call and have somebody committed who you think that, okay, this person is thrown off. They need actual help, right? And I believe that this is my personal preference. Again, that's why I love being a life coach. I can just say what I think, my theory on a lot of different things. Because I believe that there's a lot of people that should get called on, but because Black people have this, I'm gonna protect you, I'm gonna pray for you, and you feel obligated to keep that person in. You don't want to call that number to get them, you know what I'm saying, detained or whatever word you want to properly use, right? What do you say to that person that, because I know people personally, and I get a lot of phone calls, which is why I like dealing with people yourself. I would say, hey, go talk to therapy, because they're dealing with situations that I know for a fact you're not qualified to handle.
Yeah.
And you're calling me, I'm not qualified to handle it.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, cut that shit off and go call somebody who know what they're doing,
Yeah.
right? So for the person who feels obligated to stay in a situation where they know for a fact somebody has a mental issues and they don't call that number, how would you help them? They coming to you and they're in your clinic and they're talking about their situation.
Yeah, those situations are really tough, Ricky, because it's a big decision when you talk about getting a family member committed, and to put it out there, quite frankly, you can't just get someone committed. There's like a process. Our laws will not allow us to just put somebody in because they're not acting a specific way. Again, it's always about the evaluation of that individual. Now, let's say that a person has been off of their medication and now they're acting out, they're causing disruption in the home. There's things like that. There is a number that you can call. If you're within Harris County, you can go and get that person to be, you do the paperwork and they can go, and what you're doing is filing a mental health warrant.
A mental health warrant.
That's right. And that mental health warrant, even with that, there's only so many hours that once it's executed that they have to actually pick up that individual, get them assessed, and actually get them the help that they need. If they're not willing to go, or if they hide, right, they know that that's going to happen, then there's nothing that can be done on that other side. It has to go through the court system in terms of like a psychiatrist saying, no, this person is a threat to society. We need him off of the street, her off of the street, that way. But just a family member doing that, no, there's a whole process. So I wanted to clear that up because I didn't want people to think it's just as easy as I'm gonna go get them committed. No. It doesn't work that way.
I know some people that they probably call a number just because, like, you're acting crazy. I'm calling. I get that, but I think now that we're becoming a more open and transparent people, we're able to see people who really have issues. You know what I mean? Like, I'm even able to speak on my grandfather right now. He had PTSD and I ain't know nothing about it. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up with him mainly, so I'm like, oh, now in my late 30s, I realized I'm like,
you understand.
Oh, he has some issues. And then at his age, it was just like, you just go to work. That's it. Just go to work. And that's why I developed this whole overworking mindset. Thank you, grandfather. But, I appreciate it. I learned it from him. I just don't stop working, because ever since I was born, that's all he said. Man has to work. A man has to work. A man has to work no matter what, right? So this is also a great pivot, because I know for a fact men do not like to go and get therapy, right? We hate feeling vulnerable. We don't like being exposed, right? And most men feel weak if they allow themselves to go to therapy, right? How do you, as a professional, help the man realize it's okay to go to therapy? Like, what would you tell them?
Yeah, the first thing is, a man, that you're not weak. Actually, when you're seeking out help outside of yourself, that is a sign of strength. Right. It doesn't. And the thing too is, men are conditioned to like carry and solve and fix all of the problems.
We're fixers.
Right. And so being able to break in front of somebody that's saying like, I don't have everything together, that's okay. Because once you get it out, we're so conditioned to like keep it in and not say anything, hoping that it's gonna go away, and it's only gets worse. Right. You shut everybody else out, and I'm gonna fix it, I'm gonna do it. But once you're able to get with somebody that can hear and understand, I've had men to come in and they're like the toughest, most macho. They come in and start talking, and they just break down and they just needed to cry. Right. So it's okay. It's okay. It's a human emotion. It's not just something that the female is tied to. That's a human emotion that we have to be able to release, because crying resets your nervous system.
Oh, we can go there too. I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, so I hear you, and I've done therapy multiple times, which is also another good pivot. Real quick, I feel personally that I was misdiagnosed years ago, right? So I went through my phase of I'm depressed. I went through my phase of I'm schizophrenic. I hear voices. I'm crazy. All that other stuff. I went to, I don't want to call it a company out, but anyway, I went to this particular office.
Sure.
Right. And they immediately was like, you have bipolar disorder. Here's some Abilify. Here's some tramadol. You know what I'm saying? Again, the whole give you some pills type situation, right? So I got on all that stuff. So I tell people, like, I'm very familiar with the psychosis and psychedelic and stuff like that. So my altering drug. So I was on it, right? But the part that bothered me is that nobody sat down to actually talk to me.
Yeah.
I just went there with all this, just educate me on this stuff, right? Because again, I'm a thinker, and I watched a lot of videos at the time, watched a lot of videos and do a lot of reading. So I knew what to say.
Yeah.
To be like, I hear voices.
Yeah.
I'm not sleeping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not eating all the time. Or I go through weird binge eating. I eat a lot, then I eat nothing. I'm angry all the time. They was like, oh, well, you have bipolar disorder. Here's some pills, right? So, and fast forward, I got off of all that. So not only that with the psychedelics, my blood pressure down, so all these different things I cured myself from. That's why I said previously, I realized that I was more situationally depressed. Yeah. Not like clinically depressed, right? So what is your thought process on people misdiagnosing men or people in general, right? Because one study I read about a couple months ago is that the diagnosis that they're giving aren't applicable for this time, day and age, and this era of men and women, right? You know what I mean? Like our age, it's a different set of diagnoses and different set of rules that they were following. It's not for this particular time, day, and age, right?
Yeah. Well, what I'll say to that is there is a lot of research out there, right? That disputes it. Depends upon which side you're sitting on. But when diagnosis first became a thing, which was way back in the 1900s when they were strapping people down because they didn't understand, it was meant for and written by the white male. Okay, so today we have the DSM-5, and each year they try to update it based upon the data that they're receiving. So let me just tie that into what you're saying about people seeking therapy, African American people. Okay. If our numbers are being underreported or misrepresented, we're not going to talk to anybody. We're not putting our symptoms out there because we don't trust what's going to happen with that.
Can I pause you right quick? I think that's a valid point, because I didn't realize that. Yeah. I think that's something that a lot of people should hear and understand. Please don't lose your thought, because so they're basically only able to, let me try to piece it together in my head, correct me if I'm wrong. They're only able to properly diagnose us by, what's the document you said? The MS,
No, the DSM-5.
DSM-5. So they're only able to properly diagnose us if we go to therapy and they take their notes and they update that.
Yeah, that's something, because things are changing all of the time. We're talking about standard, right? When you the American Psychological Association is who is responsible for putting that out there, which is our diagnostic manual. That is a clinician's Bible, if you will.
Right. So but if nobody goes, then
if in other words, it's just like when they're gathering census data for where people are living and things like that. And then they come up with this big study that says, 50% of the population is living, in poverty or whatever, but you're not putting, if you're breaking it down to like the different nationalities and ethnic groups, then some things get skewed. So again, if we're putting this on a broader scale, Ricky, and we're not going to therapy, African American people, those numbers aren't being reported the way they need to be, because we're going and saying, we're fine, I'm cured, right? We don't want to be labeled, right? We don't trust. Then that information there is also being misrepresented. So you got to think it's a much bigger discussion that's warranted just past the questions that we're talking about here today. I know we can't address everything, but I just wanted to put that out there as well.
Yeah, no, that's good. So it's almost like, which is it's a kind of a catch-22 double-edged sword, right? Yeah. So if you do decide to go to therapy and you're not brutally honest and open, the information that they gather can still be misconstrued. God, no. So if you do go to therapy, it's best that you go ahead and just be open, vulnerable, so they can take proper notes, update the system, and then help the next person out properly.
That's right.
All right, I learned something today, man.
Yeah.
Woo,
But think about this too, Ricky,
yeah.
is when you go to the doctor
Yeah.
and you're expecting that doctor to help you with your high blood pressure and all of that.
Yeah.
Why would you not be honest about your history so that they can give you a pill that's going to make you, comatose? Like, realistically, you can't go to the doctor and say, okay, I've been eating 5 hamburgers a day, doc. And then they can say, well, that's why your blood pressure is high. You got to pull.
Let me give you the answers of my thought process for just that particular situation, right? So we're talking about your medical history and your lifestyle habits versus your mindset and the psychology of yourself.
Yeah.
Most people are very comfortable with their previous family history, with their high blood pressure, with their cholesterol. What's the first thing they say when they go into the doctor? It runs in the family.
Yeah.
It's hereditary, right? Everybody got high blood pressure. Everybody got cholesterol. So they accept that. So they accept the doctor and they accept that diagnosis and they accept that pill.
But just like you're saying, they accept that, they accept that other part too of the mental health part.
They have to accept it.
It's all, when I say interrelated, they're not connecting all of that together. Now, I don't need to go speak to nobody about my problems.
Right.
We're just going to pray it away. Right. You don't have to. And again, it depends upon where you sit. I am a fervent believer of therapy. My children know about therapy. My husband, like, that is something that we have always talked.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So we got to pause. I knew it was going to happen. I was like, right when I get into that groove, it's like, time to take a break. So we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Guys, stay tuned. And all the people in the comments, I appreciate you guys very much. Please make sure you continue asking your questions. We really appreciate those. All right, so we're gonna get into our segment we call Rhythm and Real Talk, right? Something new, something like fresh. And Rhythm and Real Talk has everything to do with a song that is applicable to your life. It could be something deep, meaningful, or there's something that just touched you, right? So one song that sticks out to me, it's a remake from forgot the original artist, but Robert Glasper did "Everybody Wants to Rule the World," right? Okay. Everybody. So he did a jazz version of that. You ever heard it?
Okay, no.
You gotta hear it.
Okay.
I got chills right now. That's literally one of my favorite songs.
Okay.
So he did a jazz remix of the song with Layla Hathaway.
Right? Oh my gosh, I love Layla Hathaway.
When you hear, I'm gonna send it to you later, right?
Yeah.
So they did a jazz remix of "Everybody Wants to Rule the World." So every time I hear that song, I always think that, I don't want to rule the world, right? But I want to rule my world.
Yeah.
This is my world, you know. So it's like everybody, you hear the song like everybody, and you listen to the words, and it's like, it's a lot of innuendos and methodology, different things like in the song. But the whole like cadence is everybody wants to rule the world.
Yeah.
But I look at that, it's like, no, I just want to rule my world.
Yeah.
That's it. That. I want to rule my world.
Yeah.
I care, but I don't care about everybody else's world.
Right.
But I just want to rule my world. So that's my song. You know, it just makes sense. And so everything I do has to line up with things that make my world manageable.
Yeah.
And evolving.
Because you're only responsible for yourself.
That's it. So I just want to rule my world.
Yeah.
That's my song. Do you have a song?
I do. What comes up for me is Jill Scott. I love Jill Scott. Okay. I'm blessed.
Okay.
Have you heard of that one?
Which
Woke
version
up in the morning every day.
I told y'all she could sing.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I love that song. Right. And it's simplified because we can focus on problems. We can get bogged down. It doesn't mean that things are perfect.
Right.
But when you look and show gratitude for things that even don't go right, Ricky, you still blessed.
You're still blessed.
You have the stress, but you're still blessed.
Stressed
but
blessed. That's a good shirt. I'm stressed but blessed.
Oh yes.
And I look, God, I'm gonna go into something else. Because I gotta say it because I think a lot of time we look at stress as like it's a bad thing, right?
Oh yeah.
No, stress is actually the answer to everything.
Yeah.
I say stress is the problem and the problem is the answer.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're stressed about a particular thing, then you need to figure out what that thing what the problem is, and then you get the answer to it. So the answer is the problem is the answer. I'm stressed about not having any money. Go make more money.
Yeah.
Straightforward. Yeah. I'm stressed about my relationship because we don't communicate well. Learn how to communicate.
Yeah.
That's the answer. The problem is the answer. The answer is the problem, right? And so the music just has so many different ways of like we'll talk about it all day, but just tapping into a whole nother part of our mindset, right? Not only dealing with energy, with notes, you know what I'm saying, with different time signatures, even time signatures.
Yeah.
Right there. I don't know if you know about the 420 like hertz. 420 hertz is basically C sharp.
Okay.
Right. So if you know a lot of songs that kind of get you hypnotized are always at 4. I think it is 420. Maybe 100% wrong, maybe wrong, but I think it is 420. You hit that C. your body automatically vibrates to
Yeah.
that tone.
Yeah.
So you're like, why is that song stuck in my head?
Yeah.
Go look up C sharp. Just look it up, right?
Okay.
You'll be surprised.
Okay.
Right? All right. So we are at the unfortunate and fortunate end of our show. Right?
Oh.
I know, because it always happens. It's like right when you get in the groove, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
But like you said, this is just part one of many, right?
Yeah.
So how can we connect with you? All your social media, website. How do you like to be connected?
Yeah. So, hey, you can go to polyclinicalservices.org. You'll see my information out there. If you're on social media, you can go to Instagram at the Ouch Couch.
The Ouch Couch.
Get your ouch, y'all. You can also go to Polyclinical. And then also, I have a on IG, it's Paulicia _ the author, because I'm also an author. So yeah. So many hats. Many hats. But the bottom line is that I'm just a server of people.
Come on now. Yeah. Now y'all see why we get along, because y'all know I got 30 different things that I'm doing, but I like connecting with people who have a lot of stuff going on.
That's right.
And what are your final thoughts for today? Like, let's leave us with some good final thoughts. What do you think about the show? And how can people, what do you want people to take away from today's episode?
Yeah, first of all, like I said before, I think that this is an amazing launch of a show that's going to expand. You've already shared with me during the break some amazing ideas. So like keep those things coming, right? Because people need what you have. And those that are listening, tuning in today, people need what you have as well. Right. And so a lot of times we're so hard and focused on our own selves. If you can get out of your own self just for a moment and go lift somebody up with a smile, hey, you look real pretty in that dress, whatever that is, because what that does is it vibrates back to you. All this good energy that we're feeling up in here, it's because we're aligned in spirit, mind, body, and spirit. Now, does that mean we don't have things going on? Absolutely not. Right. But we're moving forward in it. And so if you're listening today, you can move forward too. Yeah.
Bombs dropped all over the place. As always, I really am grateful for you being here. Seriously. And I'm like, one of my favorite quotes is, life doesn't get easier. You just get better at dealing with it.
Come on.
You just get better at dealing with it.
And
that's my word for today. And you guys stay tuned for the next episode. Make sure you like and share. Make sure you follow my good friend. And see you guys next time. Good stuff.